All right, and good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining us for this early Understanding Power BI and Excel webinar today. We do have a lot of great content for you, and we're going to dive into it in just a second. First, though, I just want to take a few minutes to introduce ourselves here. My name is Stephanie Baskerville, and I'm going to be your webinar host today, and I'm the content writer here at ProServe IT. And joining me this morning is Scott Sugar. Scott, I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself there.
My name is Scott. I've been with ProServe IT for about 15 years now, working in a couple different departments. And a couple years ago, I started up our data and analytics department.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Scott. So before we get started with the content, I'd just like to point out to everybody on the line here that in the GoToWebinar platform, you will see a questions tab. If at any time during this webinar you have a question that you'd like to ask, please feel free to type it into the window and we'll get around to answering those questions as soon as possible. We are, of course, hoping to make this kind of as organic and interactive as possible. So the more questions that you do ask, the more we can ensure that you're going to get the content that you want out of today's webinar. But let's just start off here this morning with a short introduction of, there's our agenda for this morning, sorry. So we're going to get into sort of what is Power BI, some differentiation between Power BI and Excel in regards to intended purposes and differences in decision points, that kind of thing, and then jump right into the live demo so that we can show you all the amazing stuff that Power BI can do. Now we're going to get into an introduction of who we are. Just very quickly here, ProServe IT is a Microsoft Gold partner. Oopsies, pardon me, I jumped the gun on that one. We have a comprehensive focus on cloud transformation, managed services, software development, IT service desk, and technology consulting as well. There are three main differentiators that we like to focus on here. First and foremost, we are in the business of eliminating IT debt. And what we mean by that is that we want to make sure that you have the technology that you need when you need it, and once you purchase it, you're actually getting the maximum ROI on your investment. Second of all, we do put a security lens on everything that we do, so we want to help you manage your advanced cybersecurity risks and secure your identity, data, and devices. We also implement this internally as well, so when you're a customer of ours, you can be rest assured that we are keeping your data safe too. And lastly, we are your full stack technology partner, so we're going to be with you from start to finish of your project, helping you along every aspect of your digital transformation journey to the cloud. And then on the slide that I showed you previously, there we go, you'll see a few of our service offerings here as well, and the technology that we do work with. So again, cloud transformation, professional services, software development, infrastructure, change management, managed services, and IT roadmaps, which help you understand how to leverage IT as a critical business advantage and close the gap between your business needs and your IT capabilities as well. So with that, I'm actually going to pass this over to Scott. Just bear with me for 1 second here as I make him the presenter, and we'll jump right into Power BI and Excel. So that you can explore this for sure. Again, if you have any questions during this time, please utilize the questions tab, and we're going to make sure that all your questions are answered. So take it away, Scott.
Thank you very much, Stephanie.
No problem.
Let's dive into what is Power BI. So, one way to describe the software product is to let you know kind of what it does and what gaps it fills. So what Power BI does really well, it connects to hundreds of data sources on premises and in the cloud. So in your environment, in the cloud, and tons of services and different data sources. It simplifies the data ingestion, transformation, integration, and enrichment. It simplifies all those processes for you, and it makes it easy to create impactful visualizations. You can see a little picture there, and let's flip over to certain galleries where people will post up demos of what they've built, just to give you an idea of what you can, how far you can go with this with Power BI if you really want to get to it. So some executive insights, a global superstore, statistics, So these are pretty in depth, but this is definitely where you can get to with Power BI. And these are look a lot cleaner and a lot more impactful than typically what you're going to see with Excel, which is more around table format reports, is where that really does well. So, moving on to the intended purposes of the products and the key differentiators. So, Excel, starting with Excel, it's a traditional spreadsheet application. It allows users to reference specific cells or groups of cells and do a whole bunch of different calculations, simple and can get extremely complex. It's got a vast array of features. Excel's been around since the late 80s, so it's got tons of built-in features and tons of add-on features that really make it a very impressive product. And given that it's been around for so long, business users feel very comfortable using it most of the time. And one of the main drawbacks of Excel is that you're typically limited to working with a series of disconnected tables. And what I mean by that is your different data sets, it can be difficult to create relationships between them. Power BI, on the other hand, which kind of grew out of Excel and the Power Query language, Power BI simplifies data ingestion and data refresh, allowing for automation of reporting processes. And when we get to the demo today, this kind of simplified data ingestion and simplified data refresh is where we're going to be focusing on that demo to show you, give you some ideas of how this could be, these processes could be automated even within your companies. It allows us to easily build and sometimes automatically build relationships between data sets. It allows you to configure alerts on data. It gives you a method for simple and secure report publishing and sharing. And it allows you to leverage row-level security.
So Scott, the configuring alerts, that would be like if you wanted to see if something dipped, for example, or if if your revenue went down or something like that.
Yeah. If your revenue went under a certain amount or it went over a certain amount, or even if there were some outliers detected within your data that you wanted to dig into more and understand, hey, why did this certain outlier happen? Why did we have a sales transaction of 10 cents? Most of our transactions should be $50 or more. So
gotcha.
There's different things that you can learn on there to find different either patterns or outliers to patterns to help you better understand your data and respond to it faster.
And what exactly is row level security then? How would you describe that?
Excellent question. So what row level security will allow you to do? Let's imagine we have 10 customers and we've retrieved our data and we want to share out some data with those 10 customers. Maybe we operate a help desk like ProServe does, and we want to show customers how many tickets they've opened and how many tickets we've closed for them. We have two options. We can create one report per customer, so that way all the customers can't see each other's data, or we can implement one larger report and build row-level security into that report such that whoever's logging into the report will only see data connected to their account. So this then allows you to simplify your reporting process, keep it down to a single report instead of having to manage 10 reports. And in the future, when you have 100 customers, trying to manage 100 reports becomes very difficult. Implementing row-level security really removes a lot of complications as you start to scale up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, interesting. That sounds like it could be quite a useful feature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's quite interesting, and it's built pretty deeply into the Power BI desktop and the Power BI service.
Wonderful. All right, thank you, Scott.
Any other questions about this before we move on to the next page?
I don't see any at this time, but I will keep an eye out on the questions tab and let you know if something else comes up.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so decision points. When you're starting a new reporting process or examining your old reporting process, I've put together some questions that will help you understand, should I move towards Power BI for this reporting process, or should I be using Excel for this reporting process? So, do you want to be able to securely share the reports with a lot of users? Do you want to ingest large amounts of data? Do you want to create a report based on multiple tables and data sources? Do you want to be able to cross filter between visualizations? And if we have time, I'm going to go into that a little bit in the demo as well. Are you spending recurring time on manual data retrieval, cleaning, transformation, reporting processes? So if you answered yes to any of the above questions, then my recommendation would be to look at building your reporting process or move your existing reporting process to Power BI. And then where Excel really shines is if you want to rapidly explore a single or a summarized data table, or if you want deep customization of tabular style reports. So if you want a really amazing looking table based report, Excel has often got much more customization available just because it's been around for so long. And people on the internet and in the world have done so much with it. Any questions there so far? We can keep moving.
I think we can keep moving, Scott.
Cool. So let's jump into the demo. And our demo theme for today is going to be create a report, a sales amount by customer report, and we're going to create this in Excel, and then we're going to create this in Power BI to get a feel for some of why I think the reporting, the ingestion and refresh process is really simplified within Power BI. And I'm going to try and move through the Excel piece of this as quick as possible. So to that end, I've put together some data already. We've got some sales transactions and some customers that we've exported from our fictional CRM. If we look at our sales transactions and we expand these out, we can see our transaction ID, our date, the customer ID, the quantity, the price per unit, and the amount of each transaction. If we go into our customers file, we can see our customer ID, the date it was added, the customer name, and the geographic location. So let's imagine we want to build our sales amount by customer name report. So let's first look at how we would do this in Excel. And there's, of course, a number of ways to handle this in Excel, but let's try and do the quickest way possible here. So we're just going to copy paste in our transactions. We're going to copy paste in our customers. We've got our transactions and our customers, and now we're going to link these two together with a VLOOKUP. So we're going to create our customer name, and we're going to do a VLOOKUP, and it's going to be C2, and I1 to M16, and we want to pull the name out of column number 3 from that range. And yes, we've got Red Wings. So customer ID 3 matches up with customer ID 3, and we started to build our link there. We're just going to lock these rows quickly. Lock that table in place. So it doesn't change. And we're going to fill this down. There we go. We got our customer name. Because this is Excel and if we want to create a quick table, it's better to have the categories on the left, and then we can go ahead and insert chart. There we go. We're on our way. We've got our sales amount by customers. Now, the one problem we see here is that we've got multiple charts, we've got multiple connects, we've got multiple rangers. None of this is summed up. So in the Excel world, to fix this, we're going to go ahead and generate a pivot table for our data. And now we can do our customer name, our amount. It's all nicely summed up. We can even sort it quick, descending by sum up amount. Okay, and we can add in our chart. There we go. We have sum of amount by customer name. Now, let's jump into Power BI and see how we're going to handle the same process. So we're going to get data. I'm going to say we got a CSV file. We want to pull in our transactions. Okay. There's all our transactions. It's detected that it's comma separated. It's even going to detect the different data types for us. So if you notice back in Excel, this is just a number still. This isn't currency. We'd have to go in and start changing. So sales transactions loaded. You can see it show up on the right-hand side over here. It's detected the date, which is great. And we're going to go back and get our customers. Customers, about that. There we go. Our customers are loaded. Now we can go in and manage our relationships. Because Power BI is really wonderful, it's already found our relationship for us. There's a relationship between customer ID and sales transactions and customers. So without any further ado, we can create our chart, customer name, sales amount. There we go. We now have the same chart that we had built in Excel. Now, this is great. You've built your initial beginnings of a report. You sent it off to your customers or to your boss, and they've said it looks great. And then next month rolls around. You've got a couple more transactions. You've got a new customer. What's the process look like now to refresh your data as it is? So let's just say we've got transaction 53 happened today. It's for customer number 15, a new customer, and they 10, 50, 500. So that's our quantity, our value, our quantity, and our total amount. We're going to save that. And this is just like if we had exported this data again from the CRM, or if we were connecting direct into the CRM. And so our new customer's name is ZZZ. We're going to save our new customers. Now, to update our report in Excel, it's actually going to take a couple steps here. One, we're going to have to add in the next row here. We copy paste in that row 53 for transactions. We copy paste in our new customer name. We go in, we'd have to change our formula here, because then the formula would go down to M17. We have to change that all the way down, so that way it would pick up the new customer after we copied it in, and then we'd have to rebuild our pivot table, or at least reformat it. In Power BI, we're just going to hit refresh. It's reaching back out to those CSV files now, pulling them back, the latest data back into the data model, and now we have our ZZZ company showing up here.
That's fascinating. So you just like, I mean, you don't even have that. Like, you didn't even have to do anything in Power BI. It just automatically picked it up. That's wonderful. I can see that being a huge benefit to a lot of people who struggle with, you know, keeping those reports and stuff.
Yeah, keeping reports up to date. It can be much easier in Power BI if you've built your process right. And like I alluded to briefly before, this can be, you know, we're just using an example of some CSV files that we've exported from a fake CRM. We could be connecting into our dynamic CRM. We could be connecting into tons and tons of different data sources to pull this out directly. So you don't even need to go through that export step. That's just for making sure we're working with local data during our live demo.
Mm-hmm. That's fascinating.
So yeah, you can see here lots of different stuff we can connect into: Salesforce, Google Analytics, Facebook. I know people have built ways to get into Twitter and do other stuff like that. And then one more thing I wanted to show everyone quick, because if we had time, I wanted to show you the cross-filtering between visualizations. So in Excel, if you've got your visualization built, and you wanted to click on something and have another visualization filter on that, that's not really possible in Excel. In Power BI, what we can do here is we can say, hey, let's look at our transactions by date and amount. We're just going to go, we just want a true date, not a hierarchy of dates. So we can see our dates here. And now what we can do is we can click on one of these and say Sharks, and we can see just the dates that the Sharks actually made their purchases. Again, click on different ones of these, or we can go the other way, and we can say who was buying on Tuesday, January 22nd, 2019. Oh, it was the Flames. They were buying products from us. And then if you didn't like that highlight method, you could go in and edit interactions between these. So you're not just highlighting, you're actually filtering out now between the two of them. Set this one to filter out. And now if we click on Sharks, we're just going to see exactly the days that they bought, and everything else is filtered out. Similarly, if we just look at February 4th, we can see just the customers that bought from us on that day.
That's great, Scott. We do have a question here. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you quickly. What is the time expectations for refresh? I think that just because the distance between stuff, you know, there seems to be a bit of a lag on our end. And Robert is asking, you know, what is this time expectation for a refresh of this data?
Yep, excellent question. And the time to refresh is really going to depend on two factors. One is the number of data sources you're pulling from, and two is how much data you're pulling through those data sources. Now, all that being said, what I would normally recommend is to use the Power BI service. So what you're going to do is build your report. You're going to publish it. This is going to publish securely up to the Power BI service in the cloud. And then you would actually be able to schedule your refreshes to happen. So that way you don't have to worry about the refreshes. You can schedule them to happen at 6 a.m. every morning, and then when you arrive at the office at 7 or 8 a.m., your data is refreshed and ready for you to start looking at. Does that answer the question?
That's great, Robert. If you have any further questions, please just type them in, and we'll be happy to address them. Hope that answered it, though. Perfect. Thanks, Scott.
No problem. And then the other great stuff about Power BI is some of the customizations we can do to these graphs really quickly. So let's turn on our data labels so we can see exactly how much spending. We can go in and start doing some colors on these. So we can say, our highest spenders. So go back to our color scale. And we're going to do this as our amount, sum. We're going to say our lowest values are red, our highest values are green. We're going to start seeing some different ways to look at our data there, color-based. Okay, yeah. And then the other thing I wanted to show quickly was being able to quickly change these between different styles. So if we wanted to see this as a line chart, and then even adding in trend lines so we can see what our overall trend for our sales looks like. We can see min, max, average. We can have all these to it. We can put forecasts onto it. Our last point. Apply that. It looks like maybe we don't have enough data. The data is too irregular to forecast. That's just because I've used random data. Any questions?
Not at this time. I'll keep monitoring, folks. If you do have any questions, please ask them, and Scott's happy to answer them.
Yeah. Other things we could start doing here is adding in some filters. So if we wanted to filter down and say we just want to see sales where the customer was added to our system in January 2019. Actually, that will allow our data to show a little projection there as well, a little forecast. And these are all the customers and their sales where the date added was between those days. So that's what I had prepared for the demo today to kind of get everyone understanding what the data ingestion process looks like, what the data refresh process looks like, what those can look like within the Excel world, and what they look like and how Power BI really simplifies those processes. Any other questions, or are we okay to move into next steps?
We are good to move into next steps, but I actually had a quick thing. The gallery you were showing before was quite fascinating. Are those are there templates available, or do you need help building out these reports, or what do you recommend is the best way to kind of go about creating something like that? I mean, I can see how people would find those really, especially the one you're showing right now, Scott, really interesting and stuff. Like, is that a template you could find, or does Power BI offer templates?
Yes, so Power BI does have solution templates and theme templates that you're able to repurpose for your own needs. And yeah, the data stories gallery here is great for inspiration on how to do this stuff. And I believe most of them do allow you to, you can see in here, people ask for the actual .pbix, which is the Power BI file format. Some people ask for it. Some people will provide it. in these data story galleries, but there's also other Power BI community galleries as well, not just data stories. And this is, themes galleries, different measures and stuff and the Power BI community itself is excellent for troubleshooting, or if you run into any issues, or if you need help, or if you have questions. The people on this community forum end up responding extremely quickly. Sometimes you can get responses within an hour to stuff, which is really cool.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of dedicated people part of the Microsoft Power BI community.
Yeah, for sure. And the community, of course, is open to anybody. You just kind of search for it, right?
For sure. Yeah, the community is totally open to anyone. You register and you can post forum topics, or you can, without even registering, you can read forum posts. If you search for, how to do something in Power BI, and it's fairly common. I would say 9 times out of 10, Google is probably going to direct you towards the Power BI community because someone's already asked it there before and has already had their problem solved.
Wonderful. All right, perfect. So let's move into the next steps here. So what are they, and how do we get going with this? If folks are interested.
Yeah, so people are interested. What we in our data analytics department will typically tell people is we'll push our clients towards a Power BI discovery session. In this session, it's about a 4-hour working session where we go over your current reporting processes, go over your data sources, discuss your desired metrics, KPIs, and measures that you want to track. Go through all of that, and then we produce out a findings and deliverables document that really outlines a best practices path forward towards building out your data flow system, all the way from extraction, ingestion, transformation, loading, reporting, visualization. And yeah, if anyone's interested in this, we also talk about our industry best practices that we're looking into. Some of the really interesting stuff that's coming through right now is Power BI data flows. And we've got a blog posting about that I think Stephanie will be able to share out after this webinar.
I will make sure to do so.
Cool. And the other really cool thing that's coming through right now is the integrated artificial intelligence and machine learning functionality that's coming through private preview right now. We've got some early access to some of that. It's really cool. Some of the key drivers to understand, if sales did drop off, you could run different processes to have the data examined via artificial intelligence to find out where the key drivers of those reductions came from. Anyone have any questions about our normal next steps there?
Nothing yet. I think we will actually open the floor though to questions. If you do have any, type them on into the chat window, the questions window for us, and we'll go on to our Q&A session here. Just give it a couple minutes here to have people populate their questions in the window.
Sure.
Yeah. So we do have a question here from Tina. How do I start using Power BI, and which license do I need to get started?
Mm-hmm. Good question. So Power BI Desktop is a free application. You even get access to a limited section of the Power BI online service. If you really want to get started and you have access to your data sources, download Power BI Desktop, open it up, and start connecting in. Now, where the licensing more comes into play is when you want to start sharing reports and viewing other people's shared reports in a secure fashion. So with the free license, you can share your data out with the world if you really want to. There's certainly some data that you don't want to be doing that, and some data that might be interesting to do that for your company. But if you want to be able to share reports with other users in your organization or external users, both people on each end of that sharing will need a Power BI license, a Power BI Pro license, sorry. And if you get to the point where you have, hundreds of customers that you want to be able to share reports out with, you don't need to license every single one of those people individually. There are options within Power BI embedded that would allow you to embed your reports securely and share them out with external users without having to worry about licensing all those external users. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So in terms of the licenses, then, like the Power BI licenses, do you purchase those separately, or are there any Office 365 licenses that they come with?
So they do come with the Power BI Pro does come with the E5 Office 365 E5 SKU.
Okay. Wonderful. So if you are using Office 365 E5, you probably already have access to it.
You already have the license, yes.
Wonderful.
And anyone else in your organization with that level of licensing would also have the license, and you'd be able to publish reports and share them securely with that other person without having to worry about any licensing.
Excellent. Okay, and if they don't have it, the additional licensing can be purchased, I'm assuming, correct?
Yep. There's a number of ways to tackle that. If you want to get further into that, I'm happy to set up a call with anyone that's interested to dig further into Power BI embedded licensing. And I think we actually have a blog article on that as well.
I do believe we do. I will add that as well to the follow-up email that we'll send. All right, we have no more questions here, Scott, so I'm just going to say thanks, everybody, for joining us this morning, especially given how early it is for us all. If you do have any questions, please reach out to us at cloud@proserveit.com. We are more than happy to answer any questions that you might have that you didn't get a chance to ask on this webinar. And once again, thanks so much for joining us, Scott. Thank you for your work here, and we'll chat later. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Talk to you later.